gonna sneeze. Good thing you weren't here for that. Good morning, everyone, and happy Saturday. My name is Callie, and this is another weekend of Clarinets, Cats, and Coffee. So in today's video, I am going to give you 13 short little exercises taken from the Closet method to focus on having clean technique, mainly in the right hand, and a little bit of going over the break. As part of this video, I'm also going to give you 3 little tips that I keep in mind whenever I'm having trouble getting intervals to sound clean. Now, before I do that, I want to let everybody know that I have some new tiers available on my Patreon page, and I have the regular $3 level available just like I always have on YouTube for my YouTube channel. Camille says hello. And I also have some higher tiers available where you can attend master classes, join me in coffee chats, have private meetings with me, and more. So I'm going to put the descriptions for those in the comments below or in the description below. So if you guys have any questions, just let me know. Head on over there, and I hope to see more of you guys on my Patreon soon. Now, a while ago, one of my patrons actually asked me if I could share some tips on getting cleaner technique with my fingers, and I've been really thinking a lot about that lately, trying to think of a good way to kind of exercise these skills. And so I put together this whole video actually for them to hopefully help them out with that. So the 3 tips that I'm going to give you guys today are probably pretty common tips, but I have found them to be very helpful. The first tip that I have is to exercise practice rhythms. And so I think we've all done those before. What you do is you basically choose one note, some sort of rhythmic pattern in a series of technical passages, right? To hold out one note and to play another note shorter, and you kind of go back and forth. So sometimes I'll do groups of 2 where I hold the first note a little longer and I play the second note a little shorter. Sometimes I'll do groups of 3 and I hold the first note. Sometimes I'll do groups of 3 and I hold the second note. Sometimes I'll hold the second note in groups of 2. So you can be creative. Practicing is a very creative activity. So what you really want to do is just teach yourself how to do these things, and your brain gets really bored doing the same thing over and over. And the more you repeat the same little thing over and over, the more likely you are to make a mistake. So if you vary it, but you keep your fundamentals the same, good embouchure, full air support, proper hand position, all of that stuff, and you just vary one thing, like the rhythm. All of a sudden becomes easier to do those intervals a little bit cleaner. So you can flip it. And you could do maybe every 3 notes. Da, wait, da, 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 da. Yeah, that's it. So I notice I do something weird maybe with my embouchure or air, shoulders. I create a little bit of tension in there, so I'm going to try to relax that a little bit. So that felt a lot better to me. And that felt a lot better to me, okay? So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2, if you run into a particularly difficult interval, try playing all of the notes around that interval somewhat soft, and then accent the 2 notes in that interval that are giving you trouble. So don't tongue them, play it all legato, because you want to make sure it's smooth. You're just going to give a little bit more air to the 2 treble notes. My 2 treble notes are toward the end of this one, between C and low F. Right, so I tend to want to lift my pinky up first instead of all of it at the same time, so it creates a tiny little G grace note. So what I'm gonna do So it kind of forces me to really listen to the sound between those notes. And so that's starting to feel a lot better to me, that little interval right there. Now, the next thing you can do is a thing I call squeeze and release. And so the problem interval for me is, again, going from C to F, and mainly like lifting from F going back up to C. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna squeeze the F a little bit more before I release it and relax going up to the C. So in essence, by squeezing rather hard and then relaxing, you should be able to release your fingers at the same time and get to whatever the next note is. So that usually works out best for me if it's a note that requires me to lift my fingers rather than put my fingers down. So the accent intervals work, I think, a little bit better for both. But this is good for lifting fingers, right? So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna press a little harder on the F key. Already, that feels a lot better to me. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play through all 13 of these exercises. I'm going to play with the metronome set to 100, and it'll be 100 for the quarter notes. And the first 4 exercises are going to be in eighth notes, and the remaining exercises will be in triplets. Now, feel free to play along with me. I'm going to do each exercise 4 times on repeat. So, enjoy. guys, that was so much fun. I hope you enjoy working on these finger exercises, and I hope you guys give these 3 tips some careful thought and a little bit of practice this week. And, you know, if you have some tips that you've come up with over the years or that you've learned from other teachers that you also find really helpful, please leave them in the comments below here so we can all learn from each other. I've really enjoyed some of the comments I've been getting throughout the whole pandemic from various viewers who have offered their expertise as well. So please share anything you want to contribute. It will be very helpful to our community. So thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Get out and enjoy this weather if you're around the Midwest where it's a nice, warm November weekend. And as always, happy practicing.